morning. I'm Mark McGall, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Public Safety and Homeland Security. Welcome to the 42nd Annual Prince George's County Public Safety Valor Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to welcome all of you as we celebrate the men and women of public safety here in Prince George's County. Please remain seated as we invite in our agency leaders and all of the Valor Award recipients. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of colors by the Prince George's County Combined Public Safety Honor Guard. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the National Anthem, sung by a combined choir of sworn and civilian members of the Prince George's County Police Department. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing for the invocation by Chaplain Dwayne Frost from the Prince George's County Fire Department.
Father, we come this morning to celebrate the public safety arena, the fire department, police department, deputy sheriffs, corrections, and 911 dispatchers. Thank you for them that have gone above and beyond the call of duty. We thank you. We ask a special blessing upon the leadership of each department. We ask that you continue to bless the leadership of the county. Let them know that lean not into their own understanding, but in all their ways acknowledge you, and you will direct their path. Songwriter said, if I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or just a song, if I can show somebody they're traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. Now bless the food that has been prepared for the nourishments of our bodies, clean it of all its impurities. Lord, if you never do anything for us again, you've already done enough. We're thanking you and we praise you. In your wonderful name we pray. Let every heart say amen. Amen.
Prince George's County Fire, EMS, pipes and drums, take it away.
Good afternoon. I am Jennifer Donnellan, manager of the Prince George's County Police Media Relations Division. Welcome. Please give a warm round of applause for our opening ceremony sponsors. That was something new that we are trying, and we want to continue on into the future. We would not have been able to do that without the Prince George's County Police Foundation, the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 89, and Prince George's County Crime Solvers. Thank you so much. At this time, I would like to introduce our elected officials and honored guests. Please hold your applause until all are introduced. I understand we have representatives from Senator Ben Cardin's office and Senator Chris Van Hollen's office. Can you please stand? Thank you for joining us. The Honorable Aisha Braveboy, our state's attorney, is here. The Honorable Mahassan El-Hameen, our clerk of court. We have several of our Prince George's County Council members, beginning with our chair, the Honorable Todd M. Turner, our vice chair, the Honorable Rodney Streeter, and the Honorable Sidney Harrison from District 9. We have appointed officials, George Askew, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Health and Human Services, and as you know, Mr. Mark McGaw, our Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Public Safety and Homeland Security. A warm welcome for everyone here. We thank all of our leaders, our municipal leaders and public safety from across Prince George's County who work to keep the nearly 1 million residents of Prince George's County safe every single day. Will our serving and retired members of the military also please stand? We salute you. Thank you for your service. I would like to acknowledge that for the past 42 years, Prince George's County has taken the opportunity to recognize the men and women of public safety who put themselves in harm's way to ensure our safety. The Public Safety Valor Awards pays tribute to the heroic acts and sacrifices made by some of our bravest and our very best. And speaking of best, before we begin, I would like to ask Mr. McGaw to the podium and Bill Milligan to the stage for a special presentation. Okay.
Same thing. Yes, Bill. Well, the reason we've asked Bill up here is because basically he's the unsung hero of this event for many, many years. I knew he'd be mad, but you know, we depend on the hard work of public safety employees to put this ceremony together every year. But every year it's overseen by Bill in his seasoned leadership and guidance. Bill pours everything, his heart and soul into everything he does. Most of you know that the funds that are raised during this event go to support the County Public Safety Assistance Program, where we help to feed families and residents at Thanksgiving time and Christmas time. It's a program also run by Bill, and he's helped to feed, you know, through his tenure of 30-some years doing both these projects, he's helped to feed thousands of families across our county. But we have a very small token that we want to give you to thank you for your tremendous difference you've made across our entire community. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much for all you have done for this county. Ladies and gentlemen, we have another special moment of recognition before we can begin. Can I please have our guests from the FBI Baltimore Field Office and Police Chief Hank Stawinski join me on stage? Can I also ask Prince George's County Police Officer First Class Jeffrey Bragg Jr., Police Officer First Class Eduardo Ventura, and Officer Joseph Killian to please come to the stage. On March 9th, ladies and gentlemen, 3 Prince George's County police officers responded to a 911 call about a suspicious person in a rental truck. When officers arrived on scene, they found a man sleeping in the truck. They checked for warrants and discovered that the man was wanted for the murder of a woman in New Jersey. And then when they checked him for weapons, during the search of the backpack, they discovered a knife. The man said to them, "You'll need that knife. It was used in a murder in Washington, D.C." Metropolitan Police were contacted, and there had been a homicide of a woman in the district just the night before. What the officers would soon learn was the man who they had just arrested and had in their custody was Lamont Stevenson, one of the FBI's top 10 most wanted. For their actions in taking a routine call seriously and working to identify who Stevenson really was, the director of the FBI has issued certificates of appreciation to these officers and to the Prince George's County Police Department for taking a very dangerous fugitive off of the streets, in turn making our communities safer. Joining us today, we have Acting Special Agent in charge of the FBI Baltimore Field Office, Jennifer Moore. At her side is Acting Supervisory Agent in charge of the Criminal Division of the FBI Baltimore Field Office, Brian Nadeau. Congratulations, officers.
You know, this event has always been County Executive Alsobrooks' favorite event of the year. She said that to me just a few weeks ago when she realized she couldn't be here, because the Valor Awards is all about the true character, dedication, and commitment of the men and women who make up public safety in our county. Like I said, unfortunately, the county executive is not here, is not able to be here today. She is in New York City, on Wall Street, meeting with the financial institutions that will determine if we're able to keep our AAA bond rating. You know, these financial institutions schedule these meetings, you don't have a choice. So you either show up or they move on. So she really didn't have a choice to be anywhere else, but she wanted me to make sure and relay to everyone here that her serious apologies for not being here. But she did want us to offer a personal message, and we're going to see a video from her right now.
Good afternoon. I want to first congratulate all of our award recipients. Your service to our county and the call of duty that you answer every day are appreciated. And I want all of you to know that as your county executive, I will continue to do all I can to ensure that you have the resources you need to do your jobs effectively and safely. I apologize that I could not be there with you today. This has always been one of my favorite events to attend, but I'm in New York with our financial team making the case on Wall Street as to why we deserve to keep our AAA bond rating. Again, I want to thank you so much for what you do to keep Prince George's County safe. Thank you so much for your sacrifices. Thank you to your families who also sacrifice greatly. I hope you enjoy all of the awards today, enjoy the luncheon, and may God continue to bless each of you, bless your families, and bless Prince George's County. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm saying it as if I'm Angela Brooks, and we know I'm not. But she is really, really sorry that she could not be here, and we're very sorry that she's not here. I would now like to introduce our County Council Chair, the Honorable Todd Turner, who represents District 4 and brings us greetings today on behalf of the County Council.
You're a little bit taller than I am, Jennifer. I have to pull that down. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. I had the great occasion to bring greetings on behalf of the County Council at last year's event while I was Vice Chair of the County Council, and I guess I did an okay job. They allowed me to be Chair this year. I do want to recognize, although I think they were recognized a little bit earlier, my Vice Chairman is here, Rodney Streeter, and thank him for being here, as well as Sidney Harrison from District 9. The rest of my colleagues, unfortunately, are hard at work. We had committee sessions on the budget this morning, and so although they would like to have been here, they are actually working on behalf of the residents of Prince George's County. Also, I do want to mention, I did see Delegate Ben Barnes from the State General Assembly was here as well, so I just want to recognize him. And I have the pleasure of serving the two largest municipal governments in Prince George's County, the cities of Bowie and Greenbelt. And so I just also want to bring greetings to all the municipal police officers and police chiefs that are here as well for attending and supporting your brothers and sisters in public safety. So it is obviously a privilege for me to share this special occasion with each of you. Without exception, we are very fortunate here in Prince George's County to have such quality public safety organizations and agencies willing to do whatever it is required to keep our community safe every single day. So it's my honor to recognize the exemplary service of those members of the Office of the Sheriff, Fire, and EMS departments, as well as the police departments, the Department of Corrections, and the Office of Homeland Security. So on behalf of my colleagues on the County Councils, the residents that we serve, I extend our deepest gratitude to those who have committed to protect and serve the people of Prince George's County. I have a profound level of respect and appreciation for the men and women who devote their careers to public safety. Every day you go to work with no idea what the challenges lie ahead. Still, you face those challenges head on, many times placing your own life in harm's way. You are our heroes and heroines, dedicated to keeping our community safe. And in times of crisis or emergency, we depend on you to respond quickly to safeguard our children, our families, our property, and our community. Today, we pay special tribute to those extraordinary public servants among you who have gone above and beyond the call of duty and exceeded the expectations in the execution of their duties. Today's honorees deserve our heartfelt gratitude for the demonstration of exceptional courage and selflessness, commitment to the welfare of every Prince Georgian. Thank you for providing our communities with the highest degree of public safety. I also want to take a special moment to recognize your families, members, and friends who are here with us today to recognize this special occasion. Let's give them a round of applause because we know none of us could do this without our families and our support systems. It is because of their support and, in some instances, their ultimate sacrifices as we stand before us our dedication and memorial to those who have passed in their service to this county. We understand that public safety orders can meet and exceed their level of excellence worthy of today's recognition. So thank you again. Your commitment and sacrifice are honored and appreciated. You have our support and the support of the fellow citizens and county leadership, and we join you today with much pride. So congratulations, and let's move on with our program and recognize our outstanding public safety personnel.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Real talk. We are here for you. We are here for the men and women of public safety in Prince George's County. We completely understand that people have busy lives and busy schedules. But today we are going to be honoring two of our fallen here in public safety in Prince George's County, and they will be honored at the end of the ceremony. So we are asking you from the bottom of our hearts to please stick around and make sure that we are all here together to embrace those two families. It is my honor to introduce our distinguished masters of ceremony. We're chuckling, who will guide all of us through today's awards program. We all welcome them, both of them, into our living rooms every night, and now they're here with us. And I can proudly attest to the fact that they are two amazing human beings and my friends with whom I worked alongside when I was a reporter at ABC 7 News. When he calls it to the Police Media Relations Division, he usually knows more than we do. Brad Bell is the Maryland Bureau Chief for the ABC 7 News, and if anyone knows Maryland, it's Brad. And he knows even more about Prince George's County. He is the hometown reporter who is respected by public safety for holding true to fair reporting and the facts. Brad is an award-winning reporter with more than a dozen Emmys under his belt. And while I can tell you that he does indeed, and he still does, love his work, his real heart is with his wife and his kids. We welcome Brad today. Allison Starling is the Emmy Award-winning anchor of the 4, 5, and 11 p.m. newscasts on ABC 7. She has won Emmys for her anchoring and extensive reporting on the 2011 earthquake, Pope Francis, and her coverage of the Baltimore riots. She has been with the station since 2004. She is a rock star figure with Big Brother and Big Sisters of America. She is the backbone of her Working Woman series. And speaking of working woman, I know who 3 of Allison's favorite people are in the world, and that is her husband and her 2 extremely beautiful daughters, Ava and Emma. And yes, what you see on TV is exactly what you get. Allison is one of the most warm-hearted people I know. Please welcome Allison Starling. So I think you're going to take my podium, and you're going to take that podium. I warmed it up, yep. Yes, you're welcome, and I think you're on that side, yes? Okay. I'm turning the program over to their very capable hands. Enjoy, everyone.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm glad to see she's still very shy and quiet and reserved like she was at Channel 7. It's always wonderful to be with old friends, but I have to say, this is truly an honor to be here, to be able to speak directly to you, to help share the stories of these heroes in our community is a privilege. And I'm so thankful to be here today, which makes me think of my daughter, who the other night I said, Ava, I am so thankful for you. And she said, I'm thankful for me too, Mommy. But I am genuinely thankful to be here, and we look forward to sharing your stories, and I'm happy to work alongside my colleague, Brad Bell, who you guys probably see in person more than we do. We see him on TV every day, and it's a privilege.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what? It's a long-distance relationship that we have. We've worked together for a long time, so I think this gap is kind of appropriate. Allison is inside, it's nice in there, and I'm out with all of you guys in the rain and the storms and the snow and the pollen. Our conversations often go, I'll be outside and Allison will say something like,
Brad, it looks like the conditions are really getting a lot worse out there.
and I'll be standing here like this silently, waiting for the lag time to pick up. And that's right, Allison. Look, it's great to be here. It's fun. I know many of you. I am out with you. I'm familiar as I read these stories with the valor. It's the appropriate word to use that all of you display on a daily basis, whether you're getting an award or not. It is the hallmark of what you do, and it is much appreciated. So with that, we'll begin.
All right. Department of Corrections, Corporal Sarah Schwartz. Department of Corrections personnel are frequently putting others above themselves to ensure the care and the custody of inmates. Corporal Sarah Schwartz epitomized this mindset on March 10, 2018, when she identified a diabetic detainee who appeared to be suffering from hypoglycemia at the Regional Processing Facility in Hyattsville. Once Fire Board responded to confirm that the individual was suffering from hypoglycemia, she took action to stabilize the detainee's blood sugar. Corporal Schwartz's selfless actions prevented a possible diabetic coma where an individual becomes unconscious and cannot react with the surrounding environment. For this, Corporal Schwartz is receiving a Bronze Life-Saving Award.
Fire and EMS, firefighter Brian Drummond. On the morning of April 27, 2018, while driving to work on westbound Sheriff Road in heavy rain, firefighter Brian Drummond observed a car hydroplane. The vehicle that was traveling eastbound landed in a 4 to 6 foot deep ditch on the side of the road. Firefighter Drummond quickly proceeded to the scene with no thought for his own safety, climbed down into the ditch where he encountered a female in the driver's seat. After conducting a search to ensure there were no other victims, firefighter Drummond assisted the woman from the ditch and contacted Public Safety Communications. Arriving EMS personnel transported the patient to a hospital for further evaluation and treatment. For unusual personal risk, judgment, and zeal, firefighter Brian Drummond is awarded a Bronze Medal for Excellence in EMS.
Office of Homeland Security, Emergency Dispatcher 2, Brandy A. McCormick. In the early morning of August 27, 2018, Emergency Dispatcher 2, Brandy McCormick, was notified that officers from the Metropolitan Police Department were pursuing a vehicle in Prince George's County. The 4 suspects were wanted in connection with a homicide that had just occurred in that jurisdiction. When the officers involved in the pursuit switched to the radio talk group coordinated by ED2 McCormick, she began to provide the support, the information, and the resources that she knew the officers would need to bring the situation under control. When the 4 suspects bailed out of the vehicle and fled in different directions, ED2 McCormick ensured that critical information was repeated with precision, allowing the officers to concentrate on their surroundings and the whereabouts of these 4 dangerous suspects rather than just the radio. ED2 McCormick knew exactly what was important and when to interject. She knew the answers to questions before they were asked, and she used her position to aid in the formation of a perimeter and deployment of additional officers until all 4 suspects were apprehended. Although ED2 McCormick was not side by side with these officers, she was with them, rendering the scene safer, providing an invaluable contribution toward the elimination of a public threat. Therefore, Emergency Dispatcher 2, Brandy McCormick, is presented now with Meritorious Service Bronze Medal.
Police Officer First Class Crisol Chavez. On April 16, 2018, Police Officer First Class Crisol Chavez was on patrol near Route 193 and Marietta Station Drive when she came upon a vehicle collision with a vehicle fire. Immediately, she notified Public Safety Communications and requested additional resources. Observing an unconscious man in the vehicle, POFC Chavez ran toward the burning car, overcoming intense heat and smoke as she worked to free him. Corporal Marlon Carey arrived on scene and without hesitation joined Chavez and helped carry the unconscious man away from the fire. The officers then helped lead the passenger in the second vehicle to safety, all while battling smoke and intense heat. Corporal Carey then grabbed his fire extinguisher to fight the flames while Chavez blocked the highway with her cruiser. Prince George's Fire Department arrived on scene and the victim was transported to the hospital. Although both officers and fire department personnel had attempted to resuscitate the unconscious individual, he unfortunately died of his injuries. Throughout this incident, the officers put themselves near the fully engulfed vehicle despite intense heat, smoke, and the risk that the fuel tank could explode at any moment. For their unrelenting determination and courageous acts, Corporal Marlon Carey, Police Officer First Class Crisol Chavez are being presented with the Bronze Medal of Valor.
Office of the Sheriff, Deputy First Class Daryl Humphreys. In May of 2018, while Deputy First Class Humphreys was on duty driving north on the Capitol Beltway, he passed the St. Barnabas Road exit and saw a downed motorcyclist on the outer shoulder. DFC Humphreys quickly activated his emergency equipment, gave cover to the incident by placing his vehicle so it would be visible to oncoming traffic. He notified Public Safety Communications and then began life-saving efforts. With help on the way, DFC Humphreys began patient assessment, observed signs of cardiac arrest. He immediately began CPR. He calmly notified that responders were on the way. He maintained the scene while simultaneously performing CPR until they arrived and transported the motorcyclists. In his rapid actions of initiating and continuing patient care with maximum life-saving efforts, DFC Daryl Humphreys has earned a Bronze Valor Award.
Department of Corrections, Corporal Vanessa Durr, Corporal Hope Clark, Private First Class Jean Ibanda, Private First Class Michelle Bolton. More than 15,000 arrestees were brought into the jail in 2018. Intake is a crucial part of the process, and it is where DOC officers must be the most vigilant. On April 7th, 2018, Corporal Vanessa Durr, Corporal Hope Clark, Private First Class Jean Ibanda, and Private First Class Michelle Bolton did just that by stopping a detainee's suicide attempt at the Regional Processing Center in Hyattsville. Officers sprang into action after seeing the detainee standing on a bench with his pants tied around his neck, attempting to hang himself from the ceiling. The responding officers secured his safety by pulling him down. The inmate was taken to the jail facility in Upper Marlboro, where he was medically screened and placed on suicide watch. There were 0 suicides at the jail facility in 2018 due to DOC officers' vigilance, as demonstrated in this incident. For this reason, they are being presented with Bronze Life-Saving Awards.
Fire and EMS, firefighter medic Captain Stephanie Buffum, firefighter Timothy Goldring, and firefighter Sean Van Weems. On July 28, 2018, units from the Fire EMS department were dispatched to Riverdale Road for the reports of an unconscious child. Engine 830 from Landover Hills was first on the scene. On arrival, Captain Buffum, firefighter Goldring, and firefighter Van Weems encountered a 5-year-old girl in the hallway of the apartment. The child had labored breathing. She was unresponsive to any verbal or painful stimuli. She was immediately ventilated. Firefighter Van Weems provided ventilation and answering questions regarding compliance, while Captain Buffum set up for an inline nebulizer treatment. The child's mother advised that her daughter had a significant asthma history and had used her rescue inhaler just prior to collapsing. Firefighter Goldring quickly pulled medications as requested. The inline nebulizer treatment was initiated while awaiting the transport unit. The patient was also ventilated by bag valve mask as her respiratory effort was inconsistent throughout the transport. This young patient, although lethargic, was verbal with the crew and able to report that her breathing had in fact improved. The hospital was consulted en route, and reassessments and treatments were completed throughout the transport. That patient remained stable upon arrival at the hospital. This was a challenging call, as personnel had very limited information and a very unstable little child when they arrived. Without the calm presence and the diligent actions presented by this team, the incident could have had a very different outcome. For judgment, zeal, unusual EMS skills, knowledge, and abilities, firefighter medic Captain Stephanie Buffum, firefighter Timothy Goldring, and firefighter Sean Van Weems are awarded a bronze medal for excellence in EMS.
Office of Homeland Security, Emergency Call Taker 2, Catherine R. Settle. On the morning of June 21st, 2018, Emergency Call Taker 2, Catherine Settle, received a 911 call from a hysterical woman with limited English proficiency reporting that her apartment building was on fire. ECT2 Settle was able to determine that there were 2 adults and 1 infant trapped in the rear apartment, and it was filled with smoke. While fire EMS units were being dispatched, Settle used calming techniques to overcome the language issues, establish a rapport with the victim, and she took control of the potentially life-threatening situation. ECT2 Settle provided firm instructions on what they needed to do to survive until firefighters could rescue them from the apartment. She remained on the phone, updating the firefighters on the victim's exact location, and once she knew units were on the scene, she instructed the victim to hang clothing out of the window. Based on Settle's information and instructions, the victims were quickly located and removed to safety through that window and down a ladder. The 2 adults and infant were transported to the hospital and later released. ECT2 Settle was a probationary employee at the time of this incident. However, she performed as someone with years of experience. She overcame several obstacles to ensure that the victims were able to survive their ordeal. Therefore, Emergency Call Taker 2, Catherine R. Settle, is presented with the Meritorious Service Bronze Medal.
Police, Corporal Michael O'Connell, Police Officer First Class Travis Popilarchek, and Police Officer First Class Nicholas Quilbin. On November 8, 2018, the 911 call center received a report that a woman had been carjacked at gunpoint in front of her apartment and that the suspect had fled in her 2016 Chevy Camaro. Based on radio communications and OnStar vehicle location reports, Corporal Michael O'Connell, Police Officer First Class Travis Popilarchek, and Police Officer First Class Nicholas Quilbin were dispatched to Route 50, where they began searching for this stolen Camaro, along with other officers and the Air One helicopter crew. With timely information provided via radio communications, the Camaro was located. It was traveling in evening rush hour traffic. When the vehicle came up to a stop, Corporal O'Connell, POFC Popilarchek, and POFC Quilbin took up positions near the vehicle to prevent the carjacker from opening his doors to flee. Undaunted, the carjacker escaped through the Camaro's sunroof and ran across 5 lanes of fast-moving traffic. At great risk for their own safety, Corporal O'Connell, POFC's Popilarchek, and Quilbin pursued the potentially armed suspect on foot, they too running through travel lanes of Route 50 in increasing darkness at rush hour. Air One tracked their foot pursuit and provided radio updates until that suspect was apprehended. The actions of these officers exposed them to many dangers, yet they made a split-second decision to risk their lives to protect the citizens of Prince George's County. For their courageous actions while facing extreme risk, Corporal Michael O'Connell, Police Officer First Class Travis Popilarchek, and Police Officer First Class Nicholas Quilbin are awarded the Bronze Medal of Valor.
Department of Corrections, Master Corporal Stephen Harvey, Master Corporal Matthew Eckert, Corporal Tierra Gray, Corporal Justin DeWitt, Private First Class Dennis Best, Corporal Terry Haynes, Private First Class Braxton Shelton. The emergency response team responded to 149 medical emergencies in 2018. This call has a happy ending for these emergency response team members. On December 12, 2018, Master Corporal Stephen Harvey, Master Corporal Matthew Eckert, Corporal Tierra Gray, Corporal Justin DeWitt, Private First Class Dennis Best, Corporal Terry Haynes, and Private First Class Braxton Shelton responded to an unconscious man in the medical unit. They found the detainee face down with blood coming from his face and no signs of life. They began a series of life-saving techniques, including 25 minutes of CPR. The team's goal of resuscitation was successful, and the detainee was transported to the hospital. Because the emergency response team members put their extensive training to use, they were able to resuscitate the detainee, and for these actions, they are receiving Bronze Life-Saving Awards.
Office of the Sheriff, Corporal Jeffrey Mayberry, Deputy First Class Sterling Smith, and Deputy First Class Skylar Green. In September 2018, Deputies First Class Smith and Green were serving a court-ordered eviction when they ran into a clearly distressed tenant who armed himself with a knife just feet from these deputies. When they first arrived at the residence, Deputy First Class Smith explained the eviction notice to the tenant as well as the procedure for him to gather his essential items before leaving. The deputies followed the tenant as he went to retrieve those items. When they got to a bedroom, the man lay on the bed, saying he was tired and going to sleep. DFC Smith asked him to get his belongings so the eviction could begin. But the man reached into a drawer, and DFC Smith could see a knife. The deputies gave verbal orders for the tenant not to reach for the knife, but he did so anyway. DFC Green used OC spray on the tenant to no effect. The deputies took cover and prepared to react with additional force if necessary, while still commanding the man to drop the knife. But he ignored their commands, and he began to try and cut his own wrists. He then put the knife to his neck. DFC Smith radioed for assistance, requesting a deputy with a taser. Off-duty Corporal Mayberry responded to the location. Utilizing de-escalation training, they attempted to calm the man, assuring him they wanted to help him. With the taser, Corporal Mayberry assumed a tactful position, hoping to gain an advantage, while the other two deputies kept communicating with that man in an effort to distract him to give the corporal the opportunity to execute a taser strike. And it worked, allowing DFC Green to take the knife from the man and restrain him. He was then transported to a hospital for an emergency psychiatric evaluation. The deputies' quick responses resulted in saving the life of this individual. For these courageous actions and their dedication to duty, DFC Sterling Smith, DFC Skylar Green, and Corporal Jeffrey Mayberry have earned a Bronze Valor Award.
Fire and EMS. Firefighter Medic Lieutenant Kathleen Martell. On January 4th, 2016, Firefighter Medic Lieutenant Kathleen Martell, a 19-year veteran of the Fire EMS Department, was diagnosed with breast cancer. In the weeks following her diagnosis, Lieutenant Martell began chemotherapy treatments. Treatments made her ill, caused hair loss, and depleted her energy. All of this did not stop her from performing the duties of her position in an exemplary manner. Throughout her ordeal, Lieutenant Martell, who was assigned to the Special Events Division, worked hard to keep the unit operating. Nearly 1 year after her chemo treatments ended, Lieutenant Martell underwent a double mastectomy. She returned to work 1 month later and accepted an acting lieutenant position, where she put forth 100% effort. While still receiving chemo medication, Lieutenant Martell finished the coursework requirements for the lieutenant's exam and even went on ride-alongs. Despite experiencing constant nausea, weakness, and extreme fatigue caused by the medication, she sat for and passed the lieutenant's exam. 3 months later, she was again diagnosed with breast cancer. Lieutenant Martell endured a third surgery and began a 6-week course of radiation. At the completion of this treatment, she reported for work daily, kept up with her responsibilities, and did so with a great attitude. However, she was placed on a new medication that made her too ill to report for duty. The medication was stopped, and another round of chemotherapy began and was administered until this past March. Throughout this most difficult time, Lieutenant Martell has never given up. She continues to work hard, remain positive, and make people laugh with her wonderful sense of humor. While still battling health issues, she has not faltered in managing the demanding workload in the Special Events Office. Lieutenant Martell has demonstrated extreme courage and perseverance under the most difficult circumstances. She is a firefighter and an inspiration to those who know her and an asset to the department. Therefore, Fire Chief Benjamin Barksdale is pleased to name Firefighter Medic Lieutenant Kathleen M. Martell as the Prince George's County Fire EMS Department 2018 Firefighter of the Year.
Police, Sergeant Scott Hamilton, Corporal Patrick Biggs, Corporal Jarek Chavez, Corporal Harold Hayes, Corporal Nicholas Leonard, Corporal Hong Park, Corporal Daniel Cicliatano, Corporal Matthew Weisenpacker, Corporal Lewis Williams II. And with Fire and EMS, Firefighter Medic 3, Lester Bascom. On September 19, 2018, Sergeant Scott Hamilton, Corporal Patrick Biggs, Jarek Chavez, Harold Hayes, Nicholas Leonard, Hong Park, Daniel Cicliatano, Matthew Weisenpacker, and Lewis Williams were members of a Special Operations Division emergency services team serving a high-risk search warrant in Forestville. Firefighter Medic Lester Bascom from the Prince George's County Fire and EMS Department also assigned to the team. As the team prepared for entry, Corporal Cicliatano knocked and announced the team's presence. Voices could be heard inside, however, no one came to the door. Corporals Williams and Leonard were able to partially force open the door, and at that moment, a gunshot was fired at the team. Corporal Cicliatano immediately shielded the rest of the team while returning fire. Corporal Park was struck and severely wounded by gunfire that came from the residence. Members of the team extricated him from the apartment building, and firefighter medic Bascom administered immediate medical care. The other team members remained in a position at the door. Once the team made contact with the individual who fired upon them, he was taken into custody, as was a second occupant inside that home. None of the occupants was struck by gunfire. Immediately after the scene was made safe, Corporal Biggs advised he had also been struck by gunfire. Both Corporal Biggs and Park were flown to an area hospital for treatment. For bravery and dedication to duty that prevented the potential death of their fellow officers, Chief Stawinski is honored to award Sergeant Scott Hamilton, Corporals Patrick Biggs, Jarek Chavez, Harold Hayes, Nicholas Leonard, Hong Park, Daniel Cicliatano, Matthew Weisenpacker, and Lewis Williams with Bronze Medals of Valor. For his swift response to the injured officers, Chief Ben Barksdale is honored to award Firefighter Medic 3, Lester H. Bascom, with a Bronze Medal of Valor.
Office of the Sheriff, Deputy Sheriff Camilla Berry, Deputy Sheriff Anthony Bynum, Deputy First Class Keith Wooten, Corporal Daniel Hardister. In September of 2018, deputies went to the intersection of Marlboro Pike and Loring Drive after hearing a loud boom and seeing a ball of fire. They found an overturned vehicle crashed into a telephone pole. 3 of the 4 occupants were thrown from the vehicle. The 4th was trapped inside. The deputies assessed the oncoming traffic, the overall situation, and notified dispatch to send emergency services to the scene. Deputy First Class Wooten, Deputy Sheriff Bynum, and Deputy Sheriff Berry checked on the 3 victims who had been thrown from the vehicle. DFC Wooten's victim lay unconscious in some bushes. The deputy removed the debris and stabilized the victim's head and neck to rule out a neck injury and checked his breathing. The man came to and appeared confused and in shock, forcing DFC Wooten to pin his arm gently to avoid getting hit and to keep the man from hurting himself. Deputy Bynum went over to a victim on the sidewalk and took similar precautions. Deputy Berry checked the 3rd victim, who had minor injuries. He urged the victim to try to remain calm. Deputy Berry was also concerned about the victim who was still in the car, which was not on fire, but it was smoking. Corporal Hardister found the 4th victim bleeding profusely from a laceration on her head and lying in the back seat. Corporal Hardister and Deputy Berry pulled her out and sat her up to help her breathe. She was in shock and in tremendous pain. The deputies stayed with the victims until emergency services arrived. As the deputies were tending to the victims, Sergeant Davis managed traffic and crowds to help preserve the scene and detour traffic with the cruisers. For these courageous actions and dedication to duty, Deputy Sheriff Camilla Berry, Deputy Sheriff Anthony Bynum, Deputy First Class Keith Wooten, and Corporal Daniel Hardister have earned a Bronze Valor Award.
Department of Corrections, Master Sergeant Larry Brunson, Corporal Jules Renee, Corporal Kenneth Armstrong, Corporal David Watkins, Corporal Vaughn Thomas, Corporal Raymond Dixon, Corporal Terry Haynes, Corporal Cedric Hand, and Private First Class Dennis Best. The Department of Corrections Emergency Response Team responded to 149 medical emergency calls in 2018, with the detainee being saved in 148 of these incidents. Even with a 99% success rate, 1 life lost to the team is devastating. They always go above and beyond with the goal to preserve life. On April 16, 2018, Master Sergeant Larry Brunson, Corporal Jules Renee, Corporal Kenneth Armstrong, Corporal David Watkins, Corporal Vaughn Thomas, Corporal Raymond Dixon, Corporal Terry Haynes, Corporal Cedric Hand, and Private First Class Dennis Best found a male detainee unresponsive on the medical unit floor. Each ERT member executed chest compressions and rescue breaths to the point of exhaustion for more than 20 minutes until EMS personnel arrived and unfortunately pronounced the man deceased. These responding officers are commended for exhibiting professionalism and doing everything in their power to try and save this man's life. They are being honored today with bronze medals of valor.
Fire and EMS. Volunteer firefighter Jordan Demerit. On the evening of December 17, 2018, volunteer firefighter Jordan Demerit, a technical rescue member of the Prince George's County Volunteer Marine Fire Rescue Station 57, was on holiday block leave from the United States Army and was returning home from Christmas shopping. Firefighter Demerit was traveling westbound on Route 50 when he noticed fire rolling from beneath a vehicle traveling up ahead. Within seconds, firefighter Demerit reached the vehicle. The flames had grown in intensity and the driver was pulling over. With the presence of heavy smoke and fire, firefighter Demerit pulled his t-shirt up over his mouth and nose and approached the vehicle. With fuel feeding the fire, he was able to rescue 2 adults and a child prior to shutting off the engine. The grateful family was sheltered away from their vehicle, which was now totally engulfed in flames. Firefighter Demerit's quick thinking, heroic actions directly contributed to saving the lives of this family. He was also awarded the Army Achievement Medal for his actions in answering the call whenever and wherever that may be. For great personal risk, judgment, and zeal, volunteer firefighter Jordan J. Demerit is awarded a Silver Medal of Valor.
Department of Corrections, Private First Class Vanessa De La Cruz. In an average housing unit, there is one officer for every 64 inmates, meaning that correctional officers must be extremely vigilant to ensure the care and the custody of all detainees. Private First Class Vanessa de la Cruz, who is relatively new to the Department of Corrections, ensured this care and custody on December 27, 2018. She witnessed 2 male inmates fighting. She called in a minor disturbance signal in the maximum security housing unit where she was working. Instead of holding her position, PFC de la Cruz moved closer and identified a 3rd male now involved in this altercation. She then called a signal for a major disturbance. She deployed pepper spray to separate the men and gain control until backup arrived. Because of her bravery, PFC de la Cruz did not let her stature nor her inexperience hinder her from taking control of a very unruly situation. She is being honored with the Silver Medal of Valor.
Fire and EMS, Lieutenant Scott Globerman. On June 13, 2018, the ambulance from Laurel Volunteer Rescue Squad Incorporated responded to a car crash on the Beltway in the College Park, Beltsville area. On arrival, Lieutenant Scott Globerman noticed several bystanders looking toward the overpass and pointing to an adult female standing on the bridge edge of the guardrail. He proceeded to the distressed female's location while his partner remained with their crash victim, who suffered only minor injuries. On reaching the woman, Lieutenant Globerman radioed for police assistance and requested the rescue squad from St. Joseph's Fire EMS Station 806 to provide barrier protection. Lieutenant Globerman and an unidentified bystander approached the female, who had pulled her shirt over her head and appeared ready to jump. His attempts to engage her in conversation proved futile, as she repeatedly stated that she must wait until 5 p.m. Globerman determinedly continued to engage the woman and eventually persuaded her to let him move her to safety. He then escorted the female to an ambulance from Calverton and the Maryland State Police. Following the patient's transport to an area hospital, Globerman returned to his ambulance to complete transport of the crash victim. Lieutenant Globerman's quick thinking and immediate action on the scene of this incident prevented a potentially tragic outcome. For judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, Volunteer EMS Lieutenant Scott Globerman is awarded a Silver Medal of Valor.
Police, Corporals John Clayton and Trevor Krause. On June 20th, 2018, Marine Unit officers Corporal John Clayton and Trevor Krause were patrolling the Potomac River. They heard a loud explosion. They observed smoke coming from the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Corporals Clayton and Krause immediately responded while notifying communications of this emergency situation. Upon arrival, the officers observed a boom truck fully engulfed in flames and several vehicles on fire on the bridge. The boom truck, which was being used for bridge repairs, was fully extended underneath the bridge with 3 construction workers there trapped in the bucket. A second explosion then occurred. The officers witnessed the bucket shake violently, and the 3 men were barely hanging on. Clayton notified the U.S. Coast Guard that an emergency extraction was necessary. The men looked as if they were going to try and jump into the river. Corporals Clayton and Krause advised the men not to jump, as a jump from that height could cause severe injury, even death. The officers then positioned their boat beneath these men. The fire department started extinguishing the fire on top of the bridge and began the difficult extraction mission, lowering each construction worker to the Marine unit below. Diesel fuel began to pour down from the bridge as that fire was being put out, and both officers were doused continuously with this fuel. Nevertheless, they kept their boat in position so that those descending workers could drop safely onto the craft. After the incident, both corporals were treated for hazmat exposure. For their willingness to risk severe injury and dedication to go above and beyond the call of duty, Corporal John Clayton and Corporal Trevor Krause are presented with the Silver Medal of Valor.
Fire and EMS, firefighter medic Alexander L. Hamburger, firefighter Colin M. Patterson. On June 22, 2018, firefighter medic Hamburger and then probationary firefighter Patterson responded for an individual vomiting blood. While on the scene, Public Safety Communications advised the incident was possibly assault-related. Firefighter medic Hamburger informed crews they would stage in the apparatus until county police arrived and determined the scene to be safe. Assured of scene safety, Hamburger and Patterson entered the home and discovered an adult male with a traumatic stab wound to the face and significant blood loss. A large object was impaled through his cheek and it exited on the opposite side of his throat. Patterson noted the patient's rapid deterioration, obtained a stretcher, and quickly aided in removing the patient from the apartment. Hamburger stabilized the patient, while firefighter Patterson obtained vitals, prepared ALS monitoring equipment, and maintained the patient's airway, all without instruction or having previously performed such tasks. A fellow firefighter drove the transport unit while Hamburger and Patterson continued stabilizing the patient and maintaining his airway. Firefighter Patterson, with only 5 months on the job, and this being the first shift where he provided BLS care on the paramedic ambulance, performed far above and beyond what is typically expected of a probationary firefighter. His actions greatly impacted the patient's chances for survival. After a month, the patient was released from the hospital to continue care at an outpatient rehab facility and was expected to recover fully. It was learned that the object impaled in the victim's face was a 10-inch chef's knife that barely missed his carotid artery by millimeters and other major arteries in his face. For the highest degree of judgment, zeal, ingenuity, and great EMS skills, firefighter medic Alexander L. Hamburger and firefighter Colin M. Patterson are awarded a silver medal for excellence in EMS. Additionally, Fire Chief Benjamin Barksdale is pleased to name firefighter Patterson as the Prince George's County Fire EMS Department's 2018 Emergency Medical Technician of the Year.
Office of the Sheriff, Corporal Nicholas Romanchik. In February of 2018, deputies responded to a residence in College Park to execute an emergency petition order, or EPS. Once on the scene, Corporals Hooper, Kearse, and Romanchik encountered a female who had petitioned for the EPS for her son, who she said was upstairs in the attic. Corporal Romanchik knocked on the attic's door, and the respondent said he would be down in a second. Instead, the respondent swung open the attic door and struck Corporal Romanchik in the face with a fixed blade knife before escaping back into the attic after a brief struggle. Corporal Romanchik was critically wounded and was bleeding profusely. He began treating himself with a trauma kit by applying pressure to the wound until paramedics arrived. Fellow deputies sent out an officer in trouble call via the radio requesting additional deputies. The scene then became a barricade situation. The respondent climbed out of the attic window onto the roof, and for the next 4 hours, crisis negotiators, special services teams, tactical EMS talked with the man until he finally agreed to come down. He was then taken for treatment. Corporal Romanchik was also transported to a hospital where he underwent emergency surgery. For those courageous actions and dedication to duty, Corporal Nicholas Romanchik has earned a Silver Valor Award.
Police, Corporal Ryan Robinson, Police Officer Timothy Tully, Jr. On January 21st, 2018, Corporal Ryan Robinson and Police Officer Timothy Tully, Jr. responded to a call that 3 men had fallen into an icy pond in Riverdale. When the officers arrived, the men were screaming for help and struggling just to stay afloat. One man was in the middle of the pond in apparent distress, while the other 2 seemed to have at least a grasp on the ice. While reassuring the men that help was on the way, the officers began to carefully walk onto the ice using different paths. Realizing the ice under him was becoming dangerously thin, Corporal Robinson stopped and directed a citizen on land to throw him a vine to be used as a rope, while Officer Tully was crawling closer to the men on a thicker patch of ice. Corporal Robinson threw the vine to Officer Tully, who passed it to the victims. Fortunately, it broke, so Officer Tully moved even closer to the victims himself to try to physically remove them from the water. One victim, fearing he would drown, grabbed Officer Tully, pulling him into the frigid water. After a brief struggle, Officer Tully was able to climb back out. Corporal Robinson secured a rope from responding firefighters and threw it to Officer Tully. Working together, they pulled the victims to safety. Officer Tully and 2 of the victims were treated for hypothermia-related injuries. For his unrelenting determination to save 3 Prince George's County residents, Corporal Ryan Robinson is being awarded with the Silver Medal of Valor. For heroic actions and for risking his life to save others, Police Officer Timothy Tully, Jr. is being awarded the Gold Medal of Valor.
Police, Corporal Jeffrey Benson, Corporal Harold Hayes, Jr. On August 9, 2018, emergency services team members, Corporals Jeffrey Benson and Harold Hayes, Jr., were assisting undercover detectives with an operation on Sheriff Road in Landover. The detectives had obtained information that an armed individual was selling drugs in that area. While conducting surveillance, Corporals Benson and Hayes observed the suspect appear from a building and begin walking toward their vehicle. Believing their undercover identity may be compromised, Corporals Benson and Hayes decided to apprehend the suspect. When they exited their vehicle, the suspect realized they were police officers and attempted to flee. After a short foot chase, Benson caught up to the suspect and attempted to place him under arrest. A struggle ensued, and the suspect removed a handgun that he had hidden on his body. As Corporal Benson and the suspect struggled for control of the gun, Corporal Hayes also attempted to gain control of the weapon. Ignoring officer commands to drop the gun, the suspect began to gain control of that gun and pointed it at the officers. Fearing for their lives, both officers disengaged from the suspect, and Benson discharged his service weapon at the suspect. The officers then immediately began to treat the suspect until medical personnel arrived. For unrelenting determination and dedication to duty in the face of extreme danger, Corporal Harold Hayes is being awarded with the Silver Medal of Valor. For decisive actions and courageous acts of heroism that prevented the injury and potential death of citizens and a fellow officer, Corporal Jeffrey Benson is being awarded the Gold Medal of Valor.
Department of Corrections, Master Corporal Edward Smith. With hundreds of Prince George's County correctional officers who go above and beyond every day, it can be difficult to choose only one as Officer of the Year. This year's awardee was selected for his work in and outside of the jail facility. Master Corporal Edward Smith, who's been with the Department of Corrections for 17 years, is this year's Officer of the Year. Master Corporal Smith has excellent customer service and always shows his creativity and ideas. He frequently volunteers to train others with no compensation. Not only does he utilize his departmental knowledge to suggest improvements in policy, but he also uses his personal time to assist the department. Master Corporal Smith is always willing to help and consistently displays his professionalism. He also utilizes his woods craftsmanship to benefit the department. Master Corporal Smith is especially known for always greeting his peers with a good morning regardless of the time of day. These friendly interactions go a long way in such a serious setting. For these reasons and many more, Master Corporal Edward Smith is the Department of Corrections 2018 Officer of the Year. Good morning.
Fire and EMS, firefighter medic Captain Russell L. Poe. On June 11, 2018, fire EMS units responded to a house fire on Coach Lane. On arrival, crews were met by heavy, dense smoke and fire showing from a single-family dwelling. After gaining entry through the front door, they began extinguishing the fire. Captain Russell Poe advised his crew that he was going ahead of the hose line to the second floor to search for possible occupants. Despite limited visibility, he reached the second floor and he in fact heard muffled screaming. Poe radioed command to inquire if there were reports of people trapped and requested a search crew to the second floor immediately. Approximately 1 minute after he began searching, Captain Poe heard someone yelling for help. He entered a bedroom. He located a woman in severe respiratory distress lying on the floor in heavy smoke. The woman's 2-year-old daughter also in that bedroom. Captain Poe attempted to shut the door, alerted crews he had 2 victims upstairs. He had removed his self-contained breathing apparatus to share it with the mother and her young daughter when a fellow firefighter responded to his location and carried that child down the stairs. The mother and child were removed from the burning structure and placed in the care of EMS personnel. The child transported to Children's National Medical Center in respiratory distress. The mother sent to MedStar. The pair have since been released from the hospital. For extreme personal risk and the highest degree of judgment, zeal, and ingenuity, firefighter medic Captain Russell L. Poe is awarded the Gold Medal of Valor.
Police, Corporal Maury Fontaine, Corporal Joseph Keiflein, Police Officer First Class Brand Odner, Police Officer Wilson Maldonado. On September 17, 2018, Police Communications received a 911 call regarding a theft from an automobile on Huntley Square Drive. Police Officer Wilson Maldonado was first on scene. He spotted a man matching the suspect's description and ordered him to stop. Instead, the suspect fled on foot. Officer Maldonado observed the suspect enter an apartment building on Brinkley Road. At this time, Police Officer First Class Brand Odner, Corporal Maury Fontaine, and Corporal Joseph Keiflein arrived on scene. The officers located the suspect trying to hide in the building's laundry room. The officers attempted to place him under arrest, but a struggle ensued, and the suspect produced a handgun. Corporal Keiflein attempted to tase the suspect, but it was not effective. Police Officer First Class Odner grabbed the suspect's handgun, which the suspect fired while the officer was still holding it. It injured the officer's hand. Fearing for his life and the lives of fellow officers, Corporal Keiflein discharged his issued service weapon, striking the suspect. The officers involved in this dangerous incident displayed bravery and dedication to duty. Without hesitation, they put themselves at risk to protect fellow officers and citizens of Prince George's County. For their courageous actions while confronting this armed and dangerous felon, Corporal Maury Fontaine, Corporal Joseph Keiflein, Police Officer First Class Brand Odner, and Police Officer Wilson Maldonado are being awarded the Gold Medal of Valor.
Police, Corporal Andrew McKinney. On August 1st, 2018, Corporal Andrew McKinney was in his cruiser at a red light at Livingston Road and Oxon Hill Road. While stopped there, he heard what he believed to be gunshots in the immediate area. Corporal McKinney observed a suspect standing in the doorway of a nearby liquor store, firing shots from a handgun. Taking swift action to preserve life, Corporal McKinney exited his cruiser and drew his issued service weapon. He took cover to the rear of his cruiser and gave loud verbal commands to the armed suspect to stop and drop the weapon. The suspect did not comply with Corporal McKinney's commands and began to run toward him. The suspect raised his weapon, pointed it in Corporal McKinney's direction. Fearing for his life and the lives of others, the corporal discharged his weapon at the suspect. The suspect fell to the ground, at which time Corporal McKinney used his police radio to request assistance. The subsequent investigation revealed the suspect had just shot and killed a man inside that liquor store. After killing the victim, the suspect walked out of the store only to return a few seconds later to randomly fire at the terrified citizens inside the business. The suspect's violent crime spree was stopped by Corporal McKinney's decisive actions and willingness to put his life at risk to end the threat and protect the lives of citizens. For his courageous actions while facing extreme danger, Corporal Andrew McKinney is being awarded the Gold Medal of Valor.
Office of Homeland Security, Emergency Call Taker 2, Jody D. Drummond. On December 2nd, 2018, Emergency Call Taker 2, Jody D. Drummond, received a 911 call from an individual reporting that he and his girlfriend were involved in a motor vehicle accident. He said they had serious injuries. They were trapped in the overturned vehicle in the woods and were not visible from the roadway. The caller believed he had been driving on Croom Road in Upper Marlboro. However, the cell tower information associated with the 911 call indicated he was more than 12 miles away on Central Avenue. With only the cell tower location to go by, ACT2 Drummond immediately entered a call to get fire EMS units to the Croom Road area where the caller reported he was. At the same time, she began questioning the caller about landmarks, sounds, surroundings, or anything she could use to help her determine their exact location. She asked if he could flash his headlights, blow his horn, anything to attract attention. Unfortunately, he could not. While continuing to calm the seriously injured and frightened occupants, she also requested that fire EMS respond to the area associated with the tower site along Central Avenue. She worked with the caller and coordinated with the units in the area to identify the proximity of sirens and air horns. 35 minutes after receiving the first call, she was able to guide emergency responders to the vehicle and the injured people. They were located on Central Avenue at Queen Anne Bridge Road. The victims were extricated and transported to local trauma centers with life-threatening injuries. As a result of her determination to save lives, her ingenuity and resourcefulness, both victims survived this tragic situation and are recovering from their injuries. Therefore, Emergency Call Taker 2, Jody D. Drummond, is awarded a Meritorious Service Gold Medal.
Police, Sergeant Mujahid Ramzadin, Corporal Channing Reed, Police Officer First Class Luke Allen. Ladies and gentlemen, every man and woman who signs up to serve and protect the community knows there may come a time when they will have to put their life on the line. Those moments can come without warning, but without hesitation, these men and women place themselves in the path of danger so no one else is hurt.
To his family, Sergeant Mujahid Ramzuddin was a husband, a father, and a son. To his family and his entire community, he is a hero. We ask that you now please turn your attention to the screens.
A hero, both on and off the job, a decorated veteran, Medal of Valor recipient, and Prince George's County police officer shot as he tried to help a neighbor in danger.
On February 21, 2018, Sergeant Mujahid Ramzuddin answered a neighbor's request for help. The neighbor, who had taken out an order of protection against her husband, was having a locksmith change the locks on her front door. Fearful her husband would come to the home, she asked for Sergeant Ramzuddin's assistance. After checking the home, Sergeant Ramzuddin and the neighbor stood outside in the front driveway while the locksmith worked on the locks. As they stood outside, they were then confronted by the neighbor's estranged husband, who was armed with a shotgun.
He stands alongside other brothers and sisters who every single day, without thought for their own safety, jump out and support and protect.
As the suspect advanced, Sergeant Ramzuddin put himself between the neighbor and the suspect, giving several verbal commands as he drew his department-issued firearm. During the encounter, Sergeant Ramzuddin requested additional police officers via his police radio. Seconds later, the suspect discharged his shotgun, fatally wounding Sergeant Ramzuddin. The suspect stole Sergeant Ramzuddin's duty weapon and then fled the scene.
2 days ago, the corporal put himself between a vengeful, armed, and violent man and his estranged wife, and that is what was remembered here today.
Mujahid Ramzuddin lived a consequential life, and in sacrificing himself to save another, he died a consequential death, a selfless act in a time of selfish violence.
For his valorous actions, his dedication to the safety of others, and for making the ultimate sacrifice in service to his community, Chief Hank Stawinski is honored to posthumously award the Gold Medal of Valor to Sergeant Ramzuddin and to name Sergeant Mujahid Ramzuddin as Police Officer of the Year.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sergeant Ramzuddin's wife, Tammy, to the stage.
Fire and EMS, firefighter Jesse McCullough. Ladies and gentlemen, those who give their lives to service can lose their lives in the midst of a call for service, or they can lose their lives as a result of the service they swore to perform in keeping us safe.
Occupational cancer deaths claim more first responders than any other firefighter line of duty deaths across the nation. Before he died, Prince George's County firefighter Jesse McCullough told a reporter that the biggest thing that helped him after his diagnosis was the fact that he got to tell his wife and daughters that he loved them every day. We ask that you please turn your attention to the screens.
In 2012, the Maryland General Assembly passed the Firefighter Cancer Presumption Bill. This added several types of cancers to the list presumed to be job-related, contracted in the course of duty as a firefighter or paramedic.
This weekend, fellow firefighters are putting on a fundraiser in his honor.
On January 31st, 2017, firefighter Jesse McCullough was diagnosed with occupational colorectal cancer. His valiant 21-month fight against this disease was a testament to his fortitude and tenacity.
He was always had a good attitude, even through some of the hardest parts of his life. He would have never realized the battles that he's dealing with in his health and his personal life if you didn't know him personally.
During his battle, firefighter McCullough encouraged his fellow firefighters and paramedics to take precautionary measures against developing this disease. He even went so far as to routinely wash his entire crew's protective hoods. Firefighter McCullough served our department and the residents of Prince George's County for over 10 years. He passed away on October 9th, 2018.
He would always, push me to do more than I think I could. So, that actually means a lot to me. Further down in my career, I appreciate it, and hopefully further on, I can, pass the same thing that he's taught me down to other firefighters that join the department.
Recently, the Maryland General Assembly overwhelmingly passed the firefighter Jesse McCullough Cancer Protection Law, named after our fallen comrade. This law will ensure that firefighters and paramedics who serve in multiple jurisdictions will have their cumulative service count toward the time required to be protected under the Workmen's Compensation Law if diagnosed with an occupational cancer. In addition, the law will ensure that these protections extend to our retired firefighters and paramedics who contract a covered occupational illness. For his courage in battling the job-related cancer that resulted in him making the ultimate sacrifice, firefighter Jesse W. McCullough is posthumously awarded a Gold Medal of Valor.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome firefighter Jesse McCullough's wife, Susie, to the stage.
Thank you all. That will do it for us today, and we really thank you so much for allowing us to share this special event today, and we will look forward to seeing all of you again.
Thank you. It's truly an honor to be here. Thank you for all you do. I never forget it. I never lose track of who the real heroes are out there. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.
First of all, thank you both so much for treating our heroes of public safety with such respect and their families. It's still and very hard. I know it's going to be very hard for both you and Susie for the rest of your lives. But we are here for you, and we embrace both of you, Tammy and Susie. So thank you for being here. I know this wasn't easy. We want to sincerely thank Allison and Brad for their outstanding job as Masters of Ceremonies for this event. Allison and Brad, we have a little token of appreciation, but it's actually a very special token of appreciation because apparently police officers aren't just police officers, firefighters aren't just firefighters, call takers aren't just call takers. Apparently people have other talents as well. So we have one particular officer, he's gonna kill me for saying his name, Joe Ward, who's a K-9 officer who also does woodworking. So he took all the coins from all the 5 public safety agencies and he made a box for you. Isn't that amazing? I told him.
Incredible.
Yeah, you got to see these things. Hold that up. Functional box. Like, I'm taking orders. I'm going to be his agent, I promise. Joe's not here, but he left you a little note in there about how to take care of it. Yeah, you could text him.
This is fabulous.
Yeah, so thank you both. Thank you so much. I'm turning things over to DCAO McGaw.
I'd like to now take an opportunity just to thank all those who contributed to making this an outstanding event. Will all those that served on the planning committee please stand up? Where are you guys at? Oh, come on, stand up. We got to get out of here. There you go. They're in the back. Thank you, guys. I also want to thank the Joint Honor Guard members, Chaplain Frost and the Prince George's County Police Department Combined Choir for the contributions, and most of all to our sponsors who helped make the event possible. You got- And for Jennifer Donlin, thank you for everything you've done. It was her responsibility, along with the planning committee, to put this together. There's been a lot of different changes, I think a lot of good changes, but it took a lot of work. So on behalf of the chief, thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, Chaplain Consuegra from the police department, please come forward for the benediction.
Let's bow our heads. God, our Creator, today we celebrate people, common, everyday human beings with uncommon, exceptional courage in the face of danger. These fine men and women showed boldness and determination in facing great peril. Their actions showed heroic courage. They displayed bravery. For their courageous, bold, heroic actions, they are being recognized, honored, and rewarded. Of them it is said, "The Lord is with you, you mighty people of valor." As they received their well-deserved recognition, you too have taken note in your book, and beside their name you have written, "Mighty people of valor." May you continue to bless them and use them as your instruments to help those in need. We commend them into your hands. May their rewards be not just earthly, but eternal. And we pause for a moment as we remember those who are no longer with us. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. On behalf of County Executive Angela Alsobrooks and the Public Safety Directors of Prince George's County, thank you all for being here. Have a great day.